Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 17, titled Something I Can Never Have. Air date April 19th, 2005, and the synopsis is:
Niki turns up saying she has custody of Jenny. Andy offers Jake legal help. Lucas goes to his mom now that the truth is out, but decides to stay with Dan. Brooke dreads moving and realizes she can stay with Peyton, but her parents refuse. Anna turns Felix into the principal for Peyton's locker, and Nathan drives to where Haley is touring. Then Keith feels betrayed by everyone and ends up leaving Tree Hill. So Lucas is narrating as we start off where we left off with Jake, Peyton, and Jenny. Getting back to Peyton's house when Niki steps out from the shadows in front of the door.
Was it weird that she said that there was a court date?
Yeah.
And that he obviously didn't get it because he wasn't in Seattle.
Right.
But I was like, you're supposed to have an address. I thought Brooke just wrote Seattle. I didn't think she wrote an address.
Right, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just Seattle.
Yeah, so you would need an address to send the court papers that that there's a court date.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't make sense because the only address they know is his parents.
Yeah.
And his parents would have told him. So I was like so confused by that because I was like, Niki, what'd you do? Give a fake address?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Jake, said that he didn't believe her. So maybe there's a possibility that she could have lied just to make him scared.
Well, because it's just weird. I mean,
mm-hmm.
There was no address, so you can't. Well, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Because Brooke did not give an address.
Mm-hmm.
But then, she said that because of the court, she gets Jenny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if this was true, then most likely Niki would have been able to have maybe police come or CPS or somebody to take Jenny from Jake to give to her. So I think maybe it was a lie because she just kind of, disappeared kind of after that. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I would do if I was Jake. Like, go ahead, call the police. Let's see the papers.
Mm-hmm.
And also, wouldn't he get more papers and stuff that says that she got custody?
Yeah, I guess.
There should be legal papers that say that.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you like when Peyton got involved? And then Niki's like, she talks for you and she stands up. And it's like really, just go away, Niki.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes you. But I told you, there could be no good that can come out of this.
Right.
Jake coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That's why when they're like, oh, when people wanted Jake and Peyton together, it's like, but realistically, that could never happen.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Peyton moved away with them.
Right.
That just could never happen. Because he always has Niki around for the next 18 years.
Right. And then, Peyton was standing in between them too. And Niki says, oh, she fights for you too.
That's what I said, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you said talks for her. Yeah, because she does mention that they'll let the police deal with it, but then they never show up, so.
Well, that's when he should have said, go ahead, call them. I want to see the papers.
Yeah.
That was the thing, too, was if you got custody, Niki would have the papers to show him.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he didn't receive them, she would have them. And she didn't, clearly.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas drops Brooke off at her house.
So I was waiting for this to be kind of the same thing that happened that last time they were together. When Felix caught them, I was waiting for it to happen again where he looked out his window and he saw Lucas dropping Brooke off.
Right. And, Lucas tells Brooke not to go. She has to stay. And Brooke says, they're finally friends again, and now she's leaving.
So it was weird because, it's the first time, right, that we're hearing about this red door.
Mm-hmm.
Because she said she liked being the girl behind the red door. And it's it's the first time it's mentioned.
Right.
Nothing in the past.
Yeah. And then the next day, Karen opens the door in Keith's apartment and finds it's Lucas. Apparently, she's been there waiting for Keith. I don't know if she has a key or there's a key, under the placemat or something. because how would she get in? You know.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, she's with Andy, and like Keith needs to now be alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you want to be with them, liars? No.
Right. And then, yeah, so he never went home, and he wasn't at Jules' apartment either. So he checked there. Lucas did.
Yeah, and then Lucas was like, where else would he, or they were like, where else would he be? And it was brought up like getting drunk at the bar.
Mm-hmm. And then they talked to each other about why, Lucas didn't tell her what was going on. And she says because he knows she would tell Keith, and he thought moving in with Dan was the only way to get him to leave Keith alone. And, he says he's sorry, and she has no idea how hard it's been.
I liked that he finally apologized to his
Mhm.
mom about it because, he was at fault for just like not telling her. I mean, it's his mom.
Mhm.
Like, who does he trust most in the world?
Right. And then Karen asks how, did Lucas find out? And he just, before I can actually answer, that's when Keith does show up, and he's just standing in the doorway,
And
looking
he's like,
exhausted.
what?
Yeah, because you can tell that he's been out all night looking for Jules with no luck. And then he's asking what arrangement with Jules, because he caught the end of that. And Karen is the one to tell him that Dan paid Jules to be with him, and Keith says both of them knew and said nothing.
Yep.
Yep.
And then it's like, see ya, suckers.
Mm-hmm. Karen tries to stop him, to talk to him. Keith says everyone he thought cared about him lied to him, and what's there to talk about, and walks out. So he does have a point, because yeah, he doesn't seem to be friends with Deb, but she didn't know
Well,
about the
not after they
situation.
slept together.
Yeah. And then next scene is with Anna walking into her garage to find a white towel in a
This
box.
is weird because the box said Goodwill.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, they didn't set that up very well. She should have maybe found the towel in the trash can or something. Like if it could have been the same scenario. She could have been taking the trash, out from the garage to the curb or whatever, and maybe nobody closed the bag, so it was kind of open, so she saw the towel like that right on top, maybe. But yeah, so a dirty towel for Goodwill does not make sense.
Well, and if Felix is trying to get rid of the evidence,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to throw it in a Goodwill box that
Right.
whoever your parents are taking the box to Goodwill, they're going to see it because it wasn't like it was hidden. It was clearly noticeable.
Yeah, that's
I was
just
like, who just throws it there? I mean, it's going to be taken to Goodwill, dummy.
yeah, that's just the easiest way to get caught, and just really stupid, because if it was a more serious case, like a murder case, and that would be, stupid like that, basically.
But I feel like Felix isn't stupid like that.
Yeah, so I don't know what they did there.
It's definitely out of character for Felix to just be dumb enough to put it there. Like, he hides his tracks. So the fact that he would do this so noticeable is so weird.
Yeah, because nobody even figured out it was him before this point, so.
Until Anna. And the other thing, too, why is he throwing it away now?
Yeah, that too.
Like, wouldn't you have gotten rid of it the day you did it?
Yeah.
You'd have been like, great, I'm gonna throw it in the trash. I'm gonna take the trash out so that nobody will know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't take it out and put it in the Goodwill box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even the girls in Drama Queen, they actually didn't bring this up. I was kind of surprised. They just talked about, Anna confronting Felix about it. But yeah, so I would have liked to know what they were, would have thought about this scene and how it should have been written more accurately.
I mean, it should have come out a different way. I don't know how, but leaving the evidence like that is just, it's not what Felix would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like, but he is smarter than that. That's why it's so weird. Do you think it was because the writers were trying to end Felix and Anna? So they're like, we got to just quick wrap it up in this episode and put a little bow on it and kick them to the curb.
Yeah, basically. So they didn't really put much thought into it. Yeah. Maybe they didn't really think they'd go back to it, or maybe they thought they had more time to go back to it. I don't know. So.
Well, they were like, oh, one episode, we got to wrap this up. So here's the evidence.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't make sense. Because it's not like it's the next day where Anna would find it.
Right.
That would have been one thing. But this is weeks later.
Yeah.
So it's pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he like hid it in his closet, or I mean, that would be stupid, but like nobody's going in it and she had
Mm-hmm.
found it, that would have been a little bit better
Mm-hmm.
than the Goodwill box.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she goes to confront him in the bathroom inside the house because he always seems to be looking into a mirror at himself.
Well, I mean, that's what he did the first time we saw him, really. Like, he's all about himself.
Yeah, so she confronts him and says she doesn't need a ride for school because she's going to be having dinner with Peyton. So he scoffs next and says how romantic and asks if Velma will be picking her up in the mystery machine.
What's weird is he's hated Peyton since day one.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says
Yeah.
it's because she was like too involved with Brooke,
Mm-hmm.
but he's hated her since day one. Like, he never even gave her a chance.
Right.
So it's really weird when he says that, because I'm like, there's never been a day you liked her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like he's kind of acting tutorial, if I said that right, over both Brooke and Anna when it comes to Peyton, at least.
But why?
I don't know. Because, with him being rich, you think that he's used to having everything he wants. So it's not like he doesn't get everything he wants. So, yeah, I don't know why his jealousy
Well,
is like this.
and with Jake around, they're
Mm-hmm.
not even spending any time together, the girls.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So how is she like always around and in their business when she's not? She has her own business going on. Like, it doesn't add up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Anna tells Felix that Payne's not gay, and Felix says everyone at school thinks she is only because he put that in her locker. That's why.
Exactly.
And Anna says, and that's exactly what Anna says. And then she throws the towel at the mirror because, of course, he was looking at his reflection the whole time, talking to her. He didn't turn around. He's just, talking to her through the mirror, his reflection. He picks up the towel and says, has the nerve to say that it practically wrote itself. She says it's not funny. And Felix says Payne is always jealous of him hanging around Brooke. And Anna says, to Anna that she knows she has a crush on her, like Payne has a crush on her. And Anna says that's not true. And Felix reminds Anna why they had to leave their last school. Now, this seemed to be a writing error because they didn't go to the same school last time. Remember how they said that Anna was at an all-girls school for the last few years?
Mm-hmm.
The Catholic school. So technically this wasn't right. They weren't leaving their last school. They were leaving their last school. So I don't know why they made that little error, but he says because once the rumors started, they couldn't stop them and no one cared if they weren't true. She cried every day and Anna says she remembered, and Felix says he wasn't going to let that happen again. And he knew if he did that to Payne's locker, they would believe that she was gay. And Anna tells him that that's the dumbest thing she's ever heard. She was friends with her. And Felix points out that they haven't been hanging out much since, and he tells Anna she's predictable. One well-placed rumor, and she goes off running scared, and he adds that it's better for Peyton than her anyways, and gives Anna the towel back and winks. And then Keith walks into Dan's office, because he has to, face him for everything with Jules. So, I feel like so many people ended up confronting Dan at his office about something that he did, because he always did something. And they always yell at him, and most of the time I feel like they either always threw something and broke something, because I think it was Karen and Keith that threw something in his office.
Yeah, and broke glass. But
Yeah.
well, he's always at the dealership.
Yeah, I know. It's just funny how they always go there, not maybe his house. I don't know.
Well, then you run into Deb.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Doing drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Keith's still in his wedding tux, so Dan has to make a comment about being a little formal for work. And Keith asks Dan if he set him up, with Jules, the wedding, all
And
of
he
it being a
said,
big
"No,
lie.
I didn't do that."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he tries to keep up with that charade of actually caring for Keith until he can't anymore. Because then he confesses that he can't keep going. It's just too good. Of course, he was set up.
Oh, and then how did you like when he said, where is she? And then Dan goes, check the yellow pages under W. No way, she's not that bright. Under H.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. If she wasn't bright, she wouldn't have been able to keep the act up.
All right. Or disappear without being found.
But think about it. She would have slipped. If she was dumb, she would have slipped and used Emily at some point to Keith or to Lucas or to Karen. So the fact that she kept it going and she kept Jules means she's not stupid, Dan.
Yeah. So,
I
you
mean,
know, Keith,
I guess he just thinks she's stupid because she fell for Keith. I don't know.
right.
But that would mean that his wife and ex-girlfriend all all would be dumb too.
For believing it too.
No, for going after Keith.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Keith takes a second to smile, knowing what he was going to do, and charges at Dan, you know, to get into that fight. And Keith ends up punching him and then tries to strangle him until other employees pull him off. And then as Keith is walking out of the office, Dan yells to him
You're
that he's
fired.
fired. Yeah.
Yeah.
As if
You
he was going
know,
to keep working
I
there.
wish
But
Keith would have just said I quit before he would have said you're fired. But he
yeah.
didn't say it at all.
But Keith does grab a tire rim and throws it towards the window, breaking it, and tells Dan he has nothing left to lose. But he does, so he should
I know
remember
that
that.
was good. I loved that part.
Yeah. And then at school with Peyton and Brooke, Peyton says she can't believe this is their almost last time walking to class together. And then there was a boy from the band walking too close to Brooke, I guess, and she yells out band geek staring, and he walks in the opposite direction, which felt like season 1 Brooke of her. And then you know, Payne says she can't imagine going every day without talking to her.
And then she brought up how she should have a webcam. Lord.
Yeah.
Brooke, of all people, should not have a webcam.
Right. And that way it'd be like she's living with her, and then that's when Brooke gets the idea of actually
I
living
could
with
live
him.
with you. Huh?
Yeah, and Brooke
Totally.
gets excited. She says she's going to go find a phone and call her mom because apparently she has those, you know, pay-as-you-go plans, and she hasn't paid. So Payne gives Brooke her cell and then says go.
So it's weird. Brooke doesn't have a job. How's she supposed to pay for her phone?
I don't know. Or her car insurance, I don't know.
Well, she said her parents put her on that phone plan. Well, if your parents put you on it and you don't have a job, how exactly are you paying for it? Does that make any sense to you?
No.
I could see if she had a job, but she doesn't. So why would your parents put you on a plan and you can't even pay for it?
Right.
That just sounds so stupid to me.
And then just then Anna walks up and says to Payne she has to tell her something, and Payne says for her to, you know, tell her on the way to class because she's running late. And Anna says it's going to upset her, and Payne says that seems to be the trend this week. And, you know, Payne jokes about Anna if she's leaving town or here still a baby, but Anna straight out tells her that Felix was the one who spray painted her locker. And then Anna tells Payne she's really sorry, and Payne says she's not the one who owes her an apology. And Felix isn't, you know, Anna says Felix isn't the remorseful type, and Payne tells Anna Felix owes her an apology too, because he might have painted that word on her locker, but he was talking about her, and he might not know it, but she does. And then Nathan is on the road on his way to see Haley. I think they showed us maybe 5 different times of him driving.
You didn't like it?
Yeah, it just seemed like too much time. I get for the flashback scenes, but after that it was just too much. Because even if it was it would be him for 10 seconds or 5 seconds and then go back to a different scene of somebody else. So no, there's a little too much for me. But
that's because it's a long road trip to wherever.
I know, but I don't think we need to see the whole thing. But Nathan is on the road, and his first flashback is to before their wedding. Haley's in the shower, you know. Nathan says they're going to be late.
So here it is. I hate these flashbacks. First of all, Haley needs to be wearing a wig because this is what I mean. In this episode, her hair is long. When they got married, first of all, she was definitely a dark hair in season 1. So none of this makes any sense. And then when she had the lighter hair in season 2, it was shorter. So, and it was she had that pretty curl going on. So none of this makes any sense to me. So none of it adds up. And also the other thing that doesn't add up, not only just her hair, but is the simple fact that they got married at night after a basketball game. So how is it? She has time to shower, and also they haven't slept together. So why would he be getting in the shower? Right. I'm like, this, and she's awfully
okay with it.
Okay, and I'm just all happy, and I'm just what?
Yeah.
So that didn't add up to me. And also, again, why are they like, okay, if you're gonna get ready for your wedding, wouldn't you get ready at your own house?
Right. What? Because this was the apartment, wasn't it? It seemed
It was
like.
the apartment.
Yeah.
So, but why isn't she getting ready at her own house, especially if they're getting married? I don't know, after the game. And again, none of it makes any sense because it's daylight out and
Yeah.
it was at night.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah,
why I
because
don't believe any of it.
yeah, because Haley, mentioned before that she was nervous with with Nathan seeing her naked and everything, but now she's
Oh,
okay with this. So,
yeah.
and then when Nathan was driving, did the rain look like realistic to you?
I wasn't paying attention.
Because it kind of looked like he was driving through a car wash. The way that water falls, because it was like so much rain. Yeah, it looked exactly like that. And then because when they showed the wide shot, it looked like there was only like a little bit of rain, but the close-up shots, it looked like it was like really pouring with how much water they were using. So
I don't know. I
it just didn't
wasn't
look real.
watching.
Yeah.
Is it a car wash? She was going
Yeah.
through a car wash.
I did.
Wow,
'Cause,
Cynthia.
Because like I know for driving scenes, they usually put the car like in a trailer and like kind of like haul it, down the road and get those shots like that. Whether the close-up shots or the wide shots or whatever, or not the wide shots, but the close-up shots. So it seemed like they did that or something because it didn't look like a green screen either. So I think he really was like on the road, just not driving on the road. But yeah, so
Well, it was probably a hose.
yeah, so yeah,
But
I
it
just
was
couldn't
just
help but
so
notice that.
funny because you said a car wash.
Yeah, it did. It didn't look like it was falling like from the sky. It looked like it was kind of like at an angle. So yeah.
I love how the whole time, this whole Nathan driving, you're just watching the water. Where's it falling?
Yeah, it just didn't look natural. It didn't look real. So
Like I'm watching Nathan and you're
Mhm.
watching the car and the water.
Yeah, well, I don't have like a crush on Nathan like you do,
Oh
so
my
that's why I
God,
just noticed other things. So
it was so funny. Why
mhm,
not? I was just only watching him. I didn't really
mhm,
care what the car was doing.
right.
And it was only for a split second. How are you watching the water?
Well, they kept going back and forth with him with the flashback. Like they showed him flashback, then back to him. So that's how I was noticing it afterward and before. So
Oh my God, it's funny.
yeah. So back at school, Brooke is on the phone with her mom, who we know is a real character later on in the show. So now explains how this phone call went. But so I'll just say, Brooke tells Victoria she wants to stay with Peyton and doesn't want to leave school. And while she continues fighting with her mom, Anna is sitting down nearby where Lucas joins her. And Lucas tells Anna she looks about as happy as he does. He asks her if she's okay, and Anna says she will be. She just has some things going on, nothing she can't handle. And they watch Brooke on the phone. She says it's unfair to her mom. And then back to Anna and Lucas, where Anna asks him if he told Brooke how he feels. And Lucas says no, and besides, she's moving.
I thought it was funny when he was like, "You're encouraging me to hit on your brother's girlfriend." She goes, "I like you better."
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, that was
funny
funny.
because
Mhm.
at the beginning of season 2, she would have definitely been on Felix's side, but obviously after the whole locker
Locker.
situation,
Yeah. Yeah. So Lucas says he barely knew Brooke last year, and now he can't imagine life without her. And this is when Brooke tells her mom she hates her and hangs up on her. And Lucas says afterwards, she's so sweet.
she's so sweet. I know. I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh my God."
Mhm. And then Payne comes walking up, and Brooke tells her her parents said no. So Payne asks why, and Brooke says,
Because she doesn't really have parents, basically, adult supervision. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, that would be a good reason to not let your daughter move in with Peyton.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Brooke doesn't have supervision herself, so already.
I know, but it's just like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, I agreed with it.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to let two teenage girls live by themselves? No.
Well, Payne jokes that Charlie Brown has more parental supervision than she does.
And that might be the case, but I'm just saying, do you think those two should be living together?
I don't know. They hang out a lot, so
Cynthia.
it's not much of a difference. Because Brooke's always either with Payne or Felix, so and then she's just home alone.
Now she's with Lucas a lot, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so they think that Payne is a bad influence on her, and Payne laughs and asks Brooke, has her parents ever met her? And Brooke responds with only briefly. And then, Brooke says she can't believe her parents won't let her stay with Peyton and her mom is a major. But before Brooke can finish the word, Niki comes walking up, and then Brooke finishes saying itch. And then Niki says, well, if it isn't the other woman and her travel agent. And she asks Brooke if there's any other places she wants to recommend. And Brooke answers,
Far
yeah,
away
far
from
away.
me.
Yeah. Unless she like her next period to come out of her nose. And then Niki tells Payne she showed up at Jake's this morning with Tree Hill's finest.
Isn't that a call? Like, okay. I think this is used again
What do you mean?
in season 3 with Rachel. I think Brooke says it again to Rachel
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Can't
about
remember.
the period coming out of your nose.
Yeah.
Either that or Rachel says it to Brooke, one or the other. But
Right.
I swear it's like used again.
Yeah. Yeah. So Niki does show up at Jake's with the police and she says there was no Jake or baby. She didn't say Jenny. She just said baby. So I didn't like that. You know what I mean?
I agree with the girls. She don't want the baby.
Mm-hmm.
She only wants to hurt Jake.
Mm-hmm.
For what reason, I don't know, because she's the one that left.
Right. So she asks where are they, and Brooke says Phoenix this time, and Payne asks Niki if she's even sure Jenny's her daughter, and then looks to Brooke to say,
technically she don't look like her, so
yeah, and then looks, to Brooke to say that she doesn't look like a bitch, and Niki says they'll see who the bitch is once Jake spends some time in jail, and Payne says it'll still be her, and Niki says she's tired of playing games. Payne tells her to leave. She doesn't care about Jenny.
Right. And so then she was like, only someone, Niki said, only someone without a mother would, could think that. And then they were like, you better leave before Jenny knows what it feels like to be mothers. Oh, wait, she already does.
Yeah. So
I love Brooke for that.
Yeah, me too. And then Brooke tells Payne to not let Niki get to her. No judge is going to let her, going to side with that psycho over Jake. And Payne says it looks like they already did. And apparently Jake isn't going to court to challenge it. And Brooke asks Payne if she thinks Jake is going to run again. And Payne says he might if he thinks Jenny will end up with Niki. So does Jake have a plan of just like keep running until Jenny's 18 or?
Must be.
Yeah. So then Felix goes into the principal's office because he was called down there. And the towel with paint on it is on Mr. Turner's desk. And Felix sees it and his smile drops. And Mr. Turner tells him to close the door. It's the one without the D slur painted on it. So that was a good one from Mr. Turner.
I like him.
Yeah.
The principal.
Yeah. And then back to Nathan on the road. He finally gets to Atlanta. We have another flashback to Haley holding up a postcard from Atlanta on it. Because that's where her parents are. Because they're in the RV traveling the country. And Nathan gets home and asks Haley what's wrong. She basically misses her parents. And, Nathan wants to make her feel better. So he says that they can go and see them and, tells her to pack. And, they don't have to worry about school because Haley is his tutor and she's like a grade ahead of everybody. So, just trying to reassure that, she can still see her parents and that he's her family. So it's not like she doesn't have any family. So that was sweet of him. And then he says he might not always be able to give her everything she wants, but he can do this. And he tells her, let's go see your family. And Haley says as long as she has him, she has everything she wants.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little hard to see.
Also, okay, from when her parents left to everything that happened and went down, like when they were happy, it wasn't that long. So it's not like she went like a whole month without missing her parents. It was a couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Because then it was still early in season 2 when they started having problems. And at that point, there were no happy moments anymore. So I don't understand when this was. Like, when were all these happy moments? Because
right,
don't see them.
Yeah, I think they just had to give, Nathan something to think about. Yeah, and think about his very long ride to Atlanta. Like trying to I guess, fill in space and maybe try to make it look like that Nathan has reasons to fight for Haley, with these memories. So maybe like that, like the audience can maybe be on the side of wanting them to get back together.
Yeah, but they're not believable.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
So annoying. I mean, it's cute, but the fact that when did this happen? Because realistically, it did not happen. Because when? Her parents left and then problems started. problem started as soon as they got married.
Mm-hmm.
There was always something. So it's not like they had this happy marriage
Right.
because they didn't. So I don't know
Mhm.
when this happy moment would have happened
Yeah.
and when they would have time to just go and see her parents.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird.
Right. And then the next scene is Anna and Felix again, with Anna telling him he brought this on himself. And Felix asks, does she know how bad this is for him? Their parents are going to have to buy a new wing to get him out of this.
Well, that's his own fault. Why is he
Yeah.
blaming Anna and everybody
Yeah.
else? Like Anna,
Mhm.
Peyton, Brooke, like
Yep.
anybody he possibly can, except for himself. Like you were the dumbass
Mhm.
that did this.
Yep. Yeah. So
Own
he
it.
should have. Yeah. So he should have thought about this when he was spray painting Payne's locker.
See and the thing is, if you really wanted to get away with it, you shouldn't have put it in the Goodwill box.
Right. And then the sun is blinding me right now. But Anna says
see
he's
it.
missing the whole point. Everything is always about him. He never stops to think about other people. And he acts and she does. And does she ever consider what would happen to him when she turned him in? Anyways, he was the only one before looking out for her. Anna tells him he was only looking out for himself. He couldn't handle thinking that everyone thinking that his sister was a lesbian, and Felix says the whole thing would have blown over if she just would have kept her big mouth shut. No one's going to even care when they find out he did it. And Anna
Even
asks,
Brooke?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So he didn't think about that either.
But then Brooke goes up to her own house
Mm-hmm.
and she sees this girl.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yep. And apparently they're looking at the house to buy.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I didn't like when the girl was like criticizing you.
Yeah.
Like, and then she's like, "What do you guys do for fun here?" And do you think she's from California?
Right. But I did like how Brooke, used that hillbilly accent and says, that they
Oh my
have.
God. It was her accent was so funny. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, with their
It was
banjo
killing
duet.
me.
Mm-hmm. And then the cousins swap, and on Friday nights they'll take baths together. And the
They
girl
all
says,
take baths together.
yeah, sorry, she didn't mean to insult her. She's just better about moving. And Brooke says she knows the feeling.
But then then Felix walks up, to Brooke, and then the girl was like, oh, maybe Tree Hill isn't bad after all. And then it was like, what? And then
Mm-hmm.
Felix was like, oh, who's that? And she was like, the new me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
It was funny.
Yeah. And then Lucas walks into the cafe and asks his mom if she's heard from Keith. She says no.
I'm glad to see Karen not in his apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, Lucas says Keith was right. He should have told him. And Karen points out that he thought he was looking out for him. His heart was in the right place. And Keith will understand that.
So what I thought was funny was when Karen goes, so when you moving back in? Or moving back home? And he's like,
yep.
I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, the hell you're not. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And Lucas explains that Dan is, he's Dan's one weakness, so he has to stay. But he still doesn't really explain anything.
Reason.
Yeah, so I don't know why he just still isn't kind of being cryptic, you know what I mean, about it. Secretive.
Well, because if that was the only secret, it's out.
Right.
How can he hurt you now?
Yeah, but no, Lucas still technically has his heart.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying is for Karen, she could have went back at Lucas as everything's out now. You don't have to stay with him. But for Lucas, he has to because there's one big reason that he has to stay with Dan, and it's his heart condition. It's like once Lucas tells his mom that, then he's free. But until then, Dan still has something on him. But the problem is he won't tell Karen. So Karen is in the dark about it. But Karen thinks everything's out. So it is strange that he doesn't explain anything. Like he just says, that's the weakness. But it's like, what? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like we know why he's staying, but she doesn't.
Right. And then back with Nathan, still in the car, he calls Haley, but gets her voicemail and smiles because he's listening to it. Because then we see the flashback of them making their voicemail as newlyweds. And, Nathan is teasing her about her rhyming. He erases it so they can do another take.
First of all,
yeah,
Nathan has a phone in his apartment.
I guess, yeah, because they have their cell phones. So I don't know. Landlines are
he has
still
money.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to pay for the landline.
Yeah, I think he was still working at the mall at this point. I don't know can't keep track. But
He wasn't. Look at her hair.
right, I don't
I'm
know.
gonna go back to her hair every time because she should have been wearing a wig.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna do flashbacks, you have to make it look realistic.
Yeah, well, I remember when they did that with Peyton and they gave her a wig to show that it was like,
This is
yeah,
in season 5.
yeah. So that's when,
We're still gonna see it.
yeah. So it's either like a bad wig or current hairstyle, but yeah.
So basically, don't do a flashback if you can't do it right.
Mm-hmm. Good thing we're not doing video with this because this would be weird for my side. But anyways,
It's entertaining. Just kidding.
yeah, yeah. So they do their take. They end up, rolling on the bed or off the bed because they were saying they can't get to the phone right now because they're having sex, and they call them back afterward. And
I was
then we go.
bored with it.
I thought that was cute, but then we
No,
go
I was
back.
bored. I was bored because I don't believe any of it.
Oh, timing wise, yeah.
When
Then
I
we
don't
go.
believe it, I don't care.
Yeah. Then we go back to Nathan, who's hanging up the phone, not leaving a message, it seems, and still driving. And then at the cafe,
Also, why is he calling his house?
I think he just wanted to hear her voice, maybe, since he can't get to her by phone.
Then why wouldn't he call her cell phone where he could hear her own answer machine?
Maybe because she has the, automatic voicemail, the AI or whatever you want to call it, the phone's like default setting of the voicemail message. Maybe that's why. So
But
her
I
voice
thought he was
doesn't
so
escalate on
mad
it.
at her. This doesn't make any sense.
I mean, well, he's going to go see her, so I don't know.
I don't know.
But at the cafe, Jake, Peyton, and Jenny are there. Jake says he doesn't want to get anybody else in trouble.
And Andy, okay. And Andy's there. And
Yeah.
Andy offers to pay for him to
Mhm.
have a lawyer.
I mean, he is rich enough, but yeah.
Well, I know he's rich enough, but it's like, and Jake's like, no, I can't, and he's like, no, like, because he goes, I don't have money to pay for it. And Andy's like, I'm offering. And I'm like, it's nice to have rich people in your life, doesn't it?
hmm
Wouldn't know anything about it.
hmm Yeah, the girls mentioned this too. Like, why didn't they get like a new actor to play someone that was going to help Jake, like a lawyer or something? But
Instead of all these rich people.
yeah, I think they said they just wanted to like not, have to create new characters and hire new people. They just kind of like wanted to, connect everything together. Like, what's the word? Like, just put everything together so they don't have to, think about it too much and create different characters. Like I said, to
Well, I
spend
mean,
more time on that.
it's nice that Andy's helping,
Pair.
but it's
Pair them together, yeah.
yeah, it's nice that Andy's helping, but at the same
Mhm.
time, like, isn't it a little convenient for Jake that he knows somebody that's rich and is offering a lawyer, like,
Yeah.
who also can get his own PI to probably
Mhm.
go after Niki? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just like, and like realistically, a teenage boy would not have that access. It's
Yeah.
just, really great and convenient for Jake.
Right. From Andy's side, I think I can see him helping Jake just because he has like a soft spot for single parents. Like how he was with Karen and Lucas, and now, Jake and Jenny. So maybe that's why, because he was raised by a single mom.
Well, and I think too, he sees a kid in need and he's
Yeah.
got the resources, so why not?
Yeah.
Like, it's what is he going to use it on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he said he didn't like that rich life anyway.
Mhm.
So, I think that's probably what he's doing. I mean, it's good on Andy. I'm just saying, like, for Jake, it's great that it's just a little convenient. He's got all this support. We never see his parents, but he's got all this support and everybody else.
Yeah.
And now he can afford a lawyer through Andy. It's like,
Right. Yeah, and Hillary mentioned too that the reason why so many characters are left out, like parents, with Keith and his parents not showing up to the wedding, was because like basically they didn't have the budget to hire that many people to play the parents. So that does make a little more sense, but
yes,
still creates a lot of plot holes.
because they always say like Jake's parents are watching Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're involved. Remember, they were paying for Jenny when he wasn't working.
Yeah.
So they would be involved in this process.
Mm-hmm.
Jake would go home as soon as he saw Niki and tell his parents.
Yeah, because I feel like in real life, his parents would have ended up just probably like adopting Jenny or something if Jake couldn't support her. And then Nikki's like a runaway, so neither one of them would really have, the qualifications needed to be a parent for Jenny. So I feel like she would just go to her grandparents right off the bat like that, and this mess never would have happened. So
Yeah, but it's just hard because it's like he has involved parents as they tell us, but we just don't see them. And I just feel like this storyline is one that they would be heavily involved because it's legal matters of your grandchild.
yeah.
It's just messed up how we don't even like get mentioned of them. You know what I mean? It's not like my parents are trying really. It's okay. It would have been one thing if like Jake was like, okay, like Andy's my last resort because like my parents, they're trying. Like I talked to them about this. They're trying so hard. They're like my dad is going to go get a second job to try and afford a lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's breaking up like I don't know, just something that would make you go, this Andy, yes, I will take you up on that. I don't know. Because then it would also seem like his parents are involved in this process, but they're not because they're not mentioned. I'm just saying they could. Again, you don't have to hire them. Again, you can just let us know that they're involved because they would be.
Right.
It's not like it's Peyton or Brooke's parents that wouldn't be there. Okay, it's like if it was Lucas. You think Karen wouldn't be involved?
Right.
It's just annoying because she would be.
Yeah, so Andy tells Jake that it wouldn't be smart to run again.
Well, it wouldn't.
Yeah. And Jake says there's no guarantee that he'll even win, and Andy says at least this way he'll have a chance. And then Karen goes to see Keith. She first tells him she's sorry, and he says me too, and is about to close the door until Karen stops it with her hand and tells him to wait. And Keith says, hasn't she done enough already? And Karen says she wants to help. She explains she didn't know about Jules until right before the wedding, and the only reason she knows anything is because she was worried about Lucas, and so Andy hired a PI to look into Dan. And
I mean, okay, if you're Keith, that's exactly what you want to hear.
Right.
That Andy hired a PI.
And then Keith says it doesn't matter anymore. Karen says, of course it does. If Jules truly loves him, she, couldn't he still love her?
Oh, and her real name's Emily Chambers.
Yeah. And Keith says he doesn't know, then says he would at least like a chance to.
I did like how she said like Dan is a monster, but he gave me Lucas.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Remember when Deb said basically Nathan was a mistake? And I was like, all because she was with Dan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you have a child with somebody, you don't say that. And here she's saying it. Dan's a monster, but he gave me Lucas. As in I can't, go that far because he gave me the most important thing in the world. Where Deb, on the other hand, didn't say that. She just said he was a mistake.
Right.
She was wording it differently. I liked it.
Yeah, so she gives Keith the file that the PI gathered about Emily. And so she says maybe that he can, even though Dan's intentions were bad, maybe he can get the one person he loves most in the world, like she did. And then at Payne's house, Brooke says TV might be more entertaining because they're just kind of sitting there. And Payne says there's nothing on TV she wants to see. And Brooke tells Payne to talk to her, and Payne says her whole world's being ripped away from her, and so is Jake's. And she mentions Brooke is too. And all she can do is sit there and watch it happen. And Brooke says for them to change that, she'll kill Niki for her, so at least Jake would stay here and she'd be in prison in North Carolina and be close to her. And Felix could go and give her multiple conjugables. If I said that right, I don't think I did. But Brooke says it's a joke when Payne doesn't laugh, but only because, Payne says she has something to tell her about Felix.
Yeah. And then she said, they say misery loves company. So then she tells her. And then, oh my God, I love the next scene because Brooke just charges right over to Felix.
Yeah. So I'm glad they didn't go to somebody else, and then go to that. I'm glad they just went straight right to Felix's house.
I know, it was good. And then she was like, we are finished.
Yep.
And then it's weird how he wants to now explain. It's like, you didn't even tell her.
Right. So that should be a thing too. Yeah, so Brooke says, he can't explain himself and she can't believe that he would be such a hateful scumbag to write, that word anywhere, but let alone on her best friend's locker. And then adds she's so glad she's moving. She had no idea she was the Grand Wizard's next door neighbor. And he had her start, thinking that he was actually a decent guy. And Brooke is walking away while Felix is trying to say he was protecting his sister. And he did at the night of the dance when Payne
After
and
she
him
dumped
argued.
him.
Yeah,
But my thing is, I don't care when he did it. He did
yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you break up with anyone and that's what you do?
Right.
That's just so messed up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh.
Yeah, he keeps explaining that he was in a dark place and took it out on Peyton and he's sorry.
Again, so he blamed Anna
Mm-hmm.
for the situation. He blamed Peyton. And now he's
Mm-hmm.
blaming Brooke for dumping him, and that's when he did it.
Yep,
What is wrong with him?
I know. So,
Like
Brooke
he's
says,
definitely a monster.
right. Yeah, so Brooke says, why doesn't he crawl back into his dark little place and die there? And she walks off and doesn't stop or turn around as Felix calls her name. And then the next scene is with Lucas going to see Dan. Dan asks if he stopped by to say goodbye, and Lucas says no, he's actually going to stay with him for now. Because as messed up as it was, he did keep his promise and left Keith alone. So he needs to keep his.
Oh,
And
but
he
it
goes
was
to
funny
his
because he goes,
medical.
and also you're paying for my medicine.
Yeah.
And I don't want to die anytime soon.
Yeah, so he needs it.
But then Dan was like, well, what about your mom? And he was like, she's not happy. But I mean, why would she be?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, Dan?
Yeah. So he tells Dan, besides for him, he's currently her least favorite person. And Dan says he's sure that's not true, but he's thrilled to have him. And then we see Nathan's
With like his
window.
little smirks.
Yeah. And then we go to see the movers carrying out Brooke's doll house to the moving van and her other things, with Lucas looking at her house from his car on the side of the road and then takes off.
You mean his rich car
Yeah.
from Dan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's where he got the
Nathan?
idea.
Or not Nathan. Lucas is living this great life, ain't he? Over
Mm-hmm.
there with Dan.
Yep. And then we go back to Nathan again. He goes to think about the moment after their wedding where he called Haley over, or not called, carried Haley over the threshold into their apartment.
It is okay. Door opens. It is bright outside.
Right, yeah.
People, they got married in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. It was what, midnight by the time they got home from this wedding?
Right.
You mean to tell me it's light outside at midnight?
Mm-hmm.
No, I do not buy it for a second.
Yep. And he says since he couldn't get the fancy honeymoon suite, he figured he could at least carry her across their one-bedroom threshold. After he puts her down, Haley can see that he decorated a walkway to their bedroom with candles and flower petals. He wanted everything to be perfect. He knows he didn't get her dream wedding or honeymoon. She says she got her dream guy, and that's enough.
So when she said or when he said we don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was the shower scene? You've already seen each other now, apparently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
right.
it was like, okay, none of this is adding up anymore.
No.
I mean, not that it did, but if you tried, you've
Mm-hmm.
lost me with that shower scene.
Right. Yeah, but he still says that's not why he married her. And,
Right.
She says, you're kidding. And then kisses him. And then she pulls him into the bedroom and closes the door so hard that the sign with honeymoon suite, do not disturb, falls off. And then next scene is with Nathan finally getting to the venue where Haley is. He
And
sees her name with the others.
I said, are you on the list? It was so cute because he goes, I'm her husband. But I mean, he did say I'm here for Haley. Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
really, Nathan? And then the guy was like, who? And he's like,
Yeah.
Haley James.
Right. I forgot to double check, but when he saw his name or her name with the other names, did it say Haley James or Haley James Scott? I think it might have been Haley James.
Well, when he said Haley James, that's when he got in.
Right. I just thought maybe that's what he got from the interview, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, on the interview, it was just Haley James because that's what she's using.
Yeah.
But she threw in Scott, but I don't think for the tour they threw Scott in.
Okay. And then he
Because
goes back.
They're not gonna reprint things
Right.
to say Scott.
Mm-hmm. So then he goes backstage to where the dress room is, and he goes inside and sits down in front of Haley's vanity, and he smiles and sees that one of their wedding photos are on the mirror, but right next to a picture of Chris, and then more of him and Haley right above their picture as well.
So annoying.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is too, why do you have it there? Like you see him every day.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
And you're constantly moving because you're on tour. So why do
Mhm.
you need a picture of Chris when you're with him?
Yeah,
Like, does
no,
that
that was
make any
weird.
sense to you? Wouldn't you put your family up there?
Mhm.
Your parents, your husband? You wouldn't put people that are actually there,
Mhm.
especially because
Yeah.
you're moving
Yeah.
to a new city.
Yeah, so definitely makes it look like she has a crush on Chris or feelings for Chris.
That's the thing, is if you were so like in love with this person or you truly liked him, you got that crush, you definitely would put the pictures of him and stuff because I can't get enough of him. But that should be
Mhm.
Nathan,
Yeah.
not Chris.
Mhm.
Like, if you love him so much as you say you do, where's his pictures?
Right. And then Haley comes running into the dressing room and stops
I,
in her tracks when she sees Nathan.
I do not like her in this episode
Right. Neither do I.
because she comes out and is like, what are you doing here?
Right. Like, why
Girl,
else
he
would he be
came
there?
all
Mhm.
these miles and hours for you.
Yeah.
And you have the nerve to say that. I was like, nope. Like, again, okay, remember when I said, how can Haley get redemption?
Mhm.
How can she get redemption with this episode?
Right.
Because when she sees him, she's not even excited. You love him, as you say,
Mhm.
but yet he shows up and you're not even happy?
Well, she says that she is glad that he's there and she missed him and hugs him.
After about a whole minute of her going like, what are you doing here? That's not exactly the outcome that you would want from your
Mhm.
spouse.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, girl, okay. And this is what's really annoying is like in the future when she says like she went on tour for herself.
Mhm.
Really? Because if that was true and it was not about Chris at all, then why wouldn't you be happy to see Nathan?
Right.
Like, if you're away from your family and your friends and they come to see you, wouldn't you be so excited because you've missed them?
Mhm. Yeah.
Especially the person that you love the most?
Yep.
That's why I don't understand it. Because like if Lucas was there, wouldn't she be excited to see Lucas?
Mhm.
So why isn't she excited to see Nathan? Like that's her husband.
Right.
That's what I'm saying is you haven't seen him in a while now. I don't know how long it's been, and yet you aren't even happy to see him.
Mhm.
It wasn't like, oh my God, I got to run over to you. Like, I'm so excited. I missed you. Nothing. It was like, oh, now I have to walk over and hug you. Oh, I missed you. And I'm like, I didn't even buy it.
Yeah.
I was like, it feels so bad for Nathan because he truly loves her. And well, I don't know who the hell she loves.
Mhm. Yeah, so he goes on that whole heartfelt, like he tells her he asks her to marry him because he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. He still wants that, and he tells her he loves her, and she says she loves him too. And Nathan says he showed up for her, and he'll be here for her no matter what. He'll go with her on tour. He'll wait for her, whatever she wants him to do. He's not giving up on their marriage. And Haley says she doesn't know what to say, so that wasn't good either, as her reaction. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then when she said like after though,
Mm-hmm.
because she was like, well, I don't know what you want from me. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what kind of, who says that?
Right.
They basically poured out their heart to you.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ask her for anything? No, he never said, ditch the tour, come home. He never said that.
Right.
So why would you say, what do you want from me? Not again. Like I just am so on Nathan's side.
Yep.
I mean, Nathan too has never poured out his heart like this.
Mm-mm.
And you're just like, poor Nathan, like, oh my God. And then you do think to yourself, like at least I did, like, why would you want to be with her after this?
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like time to end it because clearly she's went into a different world
Mm-hmm.
and you no longer matter.
Yeah.
Well, because then she said, like, it's not about Chris, but then he said, all I want you to be is my wife. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she said, like she's acting like it is too much, because she said, is that too much to ask?
Mm-hmm.
And then she doesn't say anything. I'm like, huh?
I mean, a crew member does come to tell her that they're ready for her, but yeah.
But Cynthia, it doesn't take not even a second to say, I want you. I love
Right.
you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why did there have to be a pause? The pause means, how do I tell you nicely
Mm-hmm.
that this isn't what I want.
Yeah, but even before that, Nathan's looking back at the pictures on the mirror, so Haley tells him that her and
Yes,
Chris
I
aren't
said
together.
it's not him and everything. But I'm just saying, like, it's annoying because you're not acting like you even like him anymore.
Mm-hmm. And then Nathan does notice that she's not wearing her wedding ring either. And then that's when she says that she loves him, but she feels like they rushed, things a little because they're so young and she wasn't ready for all of this. And, that's when the music starts, back up again. But yeah, so like I said, I think she just never imagined her life could go this far with music because when she was with Nathan, she still had that stage fright. So she just like never thought of life, outside of the marriage. She just thought of herself inside of it, being in Tree Hill, just having that little small town life. She never thought about, taking her talent anywhere. So, because maybe she didn't think she was good enough or what, but now she's like kind of regretting, I guess, not taking a chance on her music before getting married, obviously. But yeah, just really bad timing and really bad for Nathan.
First of all, you can have both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Nathan pushed her out of her comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that while they were married.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole thing of her singing on stage happened
Mm-hmm.
when they were married. How is she going to get out of that one? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you already married, Haley. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's why when you said, well, she didn't know how far she could go, she also didn't even push herself. It's not like she was working on it and then they got married. She was, this whole thing came up after.
Yeah.
So while they were married. So it's not like, there was any indication like, hey, you should do this instead of get married. It happened all together because he was pushing her out of her comfort zone. Otherwise, she would still be in Tree Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she tells Nathan she has to go, but he can wait there and she'll meet with him after the show so they can talk more.
Nope. I'm sorry. I wouldn't like I'm with Nathan. I wouldn't wait. Like you just said all that. That basically you wouldn't have gotten married.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I wait for you?
Right.
When I just poured out my heart to you? I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call me.
Yeah. And then again, she says she's happy that he went to see her and that she loves him and walks back to hug him.
Okay. You basically didn't say you love him at the beginning. Then you said basically it was a mistake. And then now you're saying you love him though?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the writers put on anything of all that together. Because if they did, it wasn't good. It was like she
Right.
doesn't even know what she's saying anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that Felix and Anna's, he tells Anna their parents are sending him to military school.
That was good. I was laughing when he said, "You're sending me to military school." I was like, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your dumbass should be.
Yeah,
Actually, should be in jail, but
yeah. But I liked how Anna said that at least there won't be any lesbians there to scare him. And then, Felix has to mention that Brooke dumped him and then says no matter where they moved or how they fit in, she always had his back and he had hers. And now she turns her back on him because he wrote the D slur on some stupid chick's locker. So, Anna tells him that Payne isn't stupid. Payne's been more of a friend to her than he has. And she didn't do anything to deserve him tagging her locker. And Felix acts
what did
who cares.
when he said Brooke dumped him,
Mm-hmm.
what did he think was going to happen?
Right.
It's her best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Anna says that she cares. It's a hate crime. And Felix says it's just a word. And Anna says it's not. It's who she is. And Payne isn't gay. She is. So if he wants to spray, paint that word somewhere, do it on her wall, spray it on her. And Felix isn't really, comprehending any of this. So he's like, what are you talking about? And Anna says he knows about the rumors and they weren't rumors. Felix tells her to shut up, just basically try to silence her. And Anna just, yells that she won't. Does he think that she's been running from this because she hasn't? She's been carrying around with her. And if he thinks that he's been doing it to protect her, he's wrong. He's just been making her afraid to be who she is and she won't be afraid anymore. And now he knows the truth that she is gay. So Felix, she asks if Felix still has her back and he says nothing and just walks out of her room. Yeah. So, so I did like how Anna finally, confronted Felix about this because she was kind of trying to ignore it herself. Like she knew it was true, but she didn't want to face it either. So this is kind of like them facing the truth together about her sexuality. And finally, like, after so long, Felix is finally, learning the truth of the consequences of his actions, which should have happened a while ago, but finally is happening now. And it just showed, I feel like he was like the representation of a lot of guys and how they thought about that back then. Because like, he's like, who cares? It's just a word. Like, he's not really thinking about the meaning of it and, other people's feelings, like Anna said. So hopefully after military school and everything, he'll be a better person after this, at least I'm
Hope so.
hoping. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we don't see
Except
him
for we
again.
never see him again.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas and Brooke are walking outside during nighttime for some reason. Like where were they coming from? Or just to
Hanging out.
take a
Maybe
walk?
movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. They were just walking like that. He says
It's weird. It's weird how they walk. He was standing in front of the door, but she could still see the door, and she didn't see it was red.
right, yeah. I don't know about that either. Yeah, so he says he's sorry about Felix, and she says it's okay. And she's just sad because she thinks this could be the last time she sees something in Tree Hill. And then he jokes about, about her taking mental pictures of everything. He says to make sure he looks good for when he takes his picture. And then, so she sees the red door, but it's on Lucas's back door.
I know, it was so cute because he goes, like he missed the girl behind the red door, and he was like, "Come on in." And so it's his bedroom, but it's all of her stuff, even her dollhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, "What? Like, I don't understand." And then that's when he said that Karen called her parents and convinced them to let her stay, but only till the summer.
Yeah, I guess.
What happens in season 3?
Over. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even remember. How are they going to get away with that one?
Right. Yeah, and they didn't want to, but his mom was convincing. We already know that from the whole CHS, test. So
The what test?
This HCM test. That's his heart condition.
I think said CHS or something.
No. Yeah.
Also, though, I love when Karen walks in and like sat with her and was starting to tell her the rules. It was so cute. And then Brooke hugs her and was like a real mom.
Right. Yeah. And like the moment before that with Lucas when he says he wasn't ready to lose her yet, and she says she wasn't ready to be lost. And then at Peyton's, she's hanging up a drawing she finished as Jake and Jenny appear. He says, "So much for painting happy little trees, huh?" And then he tells her she might want to start locking her door if a man with the baby can take her by surprise. And Peyton says, if every surprise is this man with this baby, then the door stays unlocked. And then she mentions she was worried that he skipped town again. Jake says no, he wants to stay. And when he came back, he said he wasn't going to run anymore. He meant that. And if Niki's ready to fight for custody, then so is he. And Payne says, what if she shows up tonight? And Jake says, then he'll lock the door just in case. And, he says he's sorry that she's had to deal with this. Just the last time he left town, it was him and Jenny. And now it's the three of them. So that was a nice little moment, too, that they did kind of create like this little family within them, a little found family within the three, which is nice, but not so nice when we know that's not going to last much longer after this.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to Haley, she finishes up her set and says Chris is next, and then she runs backstage to the dressing room to find that Nathan is gone, of course. And then at Lucas's, like you said about the Karen thing, and the next scene, Lucas is walking up to find Keith packing his car up with his things. He asks if he's leaving, and Lucas says he knows he made the wrong decision not to tell him about Jules and Dan. He's sorry for that, but he has to know Jules loves him. And Keith actually mean Emily. And then he tells Lucas he should have told him the truth. He's always been honest with him. He thought they meant more to each other than that, but he was wrong. And Keith doesn't know where he's going. And Lucas asks if he's coming back. And Keith says for the first time in his life, he doesn't know if he has anything to come back for. So I know that had to hurt Lucas because last time Keith took off, he went with Keith. But now he feels like he just ruined everything for Keith. And now he just won't come back. And he lost like his father figure, even though he's living with his actual father. But I just felt bad for Lucas and Keith.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the worst thing that Keith said was, "I have nothing to come back to." I'm like,
yeah,
okay, Keith. Like the whole almost 20 years meant nothing. Okay,
right,
gotcha.
Yeah, and then we see Felix clean out his locker at school. And then he walks past Payne's locker and looks at it, and they're on the hall before walking out and making one glance back. And then at the dealership, Lucas spies on Dan to see him putting something up in the ceiling tile.
This is good because it's like Lucas now knows where the hidden secret is. And it's funny because like Dan like looks around afterwards. Little does he know that
Mhm.
Lucas is watching.
Yeah, it's just funny that Lucas is now like spying on both Deb and Dan now.
Well, they got secrets.
I know, it's just funny how he was lurking, and why was he like even at the dealership anyways this late at night without Dan knowing?
Because well, I don't know, but he knows Dan ain't home, so it can't be good.
Yeah.
Well, because think about it, if you're going to do something illegal, you're going to do it when everybody's gone.
Right. And I guess you can say this is Lucas being his own PI, you know, like Andy is with Dan as well. And then back with Haley, she picks up her wedding ring from her desk of her vanity and looks at it. And then we see Nathan on the road back home, going back home, where he takes off his ring and then looks at it, going back and forth between them, both looking at their rings. And then Haley
they both put them away. It's so annoying.
Yeah, her and her guitar case, and then him in like little glove department, ashtray, something of the sorts. And then go back to Nathan, who is still on the road back to Tree Hill. So that's how it ends. So highs and lows?
Yeah, so for me, the high was Lucas getting Brooke to stay with Karen.
Yeah.
And at least she'll have a parental figure.
Yeah, probably the only good one in the show.
Because Karen will keep an eye on her. And then the low was Haley dissing her marriage.
Yeah.
And I mean, Nathan came all that way for her, and then that's the way she treats him. But also Keith finding out and then, saying that to Lucas at the end that he has nobody to come back to. Also Niki, there's a lot of lows.
Yeah. Yeah, my high was, like you said, Lucas getting her say, but also the moment with Karen, because Brooke never really had a mom, as far as we know up until this point. And Karen is basically a mother figure to everybody in the cast, but yeah, the whole characters, all the characters. And then the low would be, Keith leaving and saying he, like you said, doesn't have anything to come back to, and he doesn't know, if he's ever going to come back, period. And yeah, I didn't like about Haley and Nathan either in that interaction. And then rating?
Even though there was a lot of lows, I still feel like it was a good episode, so I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'd say 8.
I mean, besides all those flashbacks, they would have been a 9, but they gave too many bad flashbacks that don't make sense.
Yeah.
And then who's your best and worst?
My best was Lucas, like like we said about him getting Brooke to stay in Treehouse, so she doesn't have to leave everybody. And then the worst is Haley for how she treated Nathan when he went to go see her. And yours?
The worst was Haley. You knew I was gonna say that one.
Yeah.
And then I actually went with the best being Andy. What? I was.
Yeah, no, I see. Yeah.
Because he didn't have to offer to pay for a lawyer for Jake. And plus, I mean, he's still around Karen, who still feels something towards Keith. It's like little Andy's heart's gonna get broken.
Right.
But yeah, I just thought it was very nice that he's gonna pay for the lawyer because lawyers are not cheap.
Right.
And also, he can get a PI and all that. So I just thought it was nice because what does he really have to do with Jake?
Right.
He doesn't. So, and he's still looking out for everybody.
Yeah.
And then what's the next episode?
Episode 18, The Lonesome Road.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.